Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Family Matters interview series. Thank you for choosing to join the presentation, and we're so happy that you're here with us tonight. Just a few reminders that all lines will be muted throughout tonight's presentation. So if you have a question, you can enter it into the chat box, and somebody from the BCAT team will respond to you within 2 to 3 business days. Tonight, we are going to hear from Michael McGregor to discuss how to commit to a healthier lifestyle when you have limited time. What can we do in only 15 minutes a day? Michael is the Director of Program Management for the BCAT, responsible for the development and management of specific BCAT programs. Primarily, he is responsible for the 15 for Me program, which is an evidence-based solution for employee turnover and stress reduction. Michael received his doctorate degree in physical therapy from Marymount University, and he is a certified exercise expert for older adults, as well as a certified health coach through the National Society of Health Coaches for licensed healthcare professionals. Prior to working at BCAT, he served as a clinical director for one of the nation's largest contract rehab companies. Joining Michael is Abby Williams, the Director of Strategic Integration at Mansbach Health Tools. Without further ado, let's jump in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Family Matters. We are so excited to having you join us today. For this episode today, we are joined by Mike McGregor, Certified Health Coach and Director of the 15 for Me program. Welcome, Mike. We are glad to have you. And before we jump in to our topic today, can you share a little bit more about you and your current role?
Sure. So again, my name is Michael McGregor, and I'm a physical therapist as well as a certified health coach, and I am the director of the 15 for Me program, which is a evidence-based solution for stress reduction.
Great. You mentioned that you're a certified health coach and physical therapist. Can you tell our families a little bit more about what that means? And can you share with our families a little bit more about your current work background as well as your current role?
Sure. So again, as a physical therapist, our sort of ways that we help mitigate or reduce stress for our families and our caregivers is we're going to promote a couple of things. The one thing we're going to promote is movement or changing a position. So as a family member or as a caregiver, you may be maybe less mobile or more sedentary, taking care of a loved one. So we're going to sort of promote mobility and movement. Another thing that we're going to promote is social engagement. So providing some activities where you can do something meaningful and sort of engage into your community. Another thing we might promote, again, as physical therapists, is centered breathing. And we'll talk a little bit later about the importance of centered breathing. From a health coaching perspective, we're going to be promoting sort of a change in promoting a healthy lifestyle. Specifically, we generally deal with things like chronic conditions, so heart disease or things similar to that. But with mitigating stress, a lot of times it's difficult to sort of put things in place into your life to help mitigate stress for either yourself or for a family member, and we can help assist you with that.
Stress is very common, and you did touch on that. So thank you for bringing that up. Everyone experiences stress throughout the day. Could you provide us with some insight on how stress does impact overall wellness for the older adult?
Yeah. So again, stress in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. So when we look at chronic stress, that's what we're really concerned about. And having chronic stress, 30, 60, 90, longer than that is really what impacts the body. So there's a lot of physical symptoms that maybe come from stress that you're dealing with. So maybe fatigue or headaches, as an example. Maybe you have some gut issues or some digestion issues. And then you're going to start seeing how it might impact you from an emotional perspective. So maybe it's impacting your relationships. Maybe it's impacting your ability to be patient. Maybe it's impacting, your ability to, be present, either with your loved one or your family. A great way to sort of understand your stress level is with sort of an objective tool. So as part of the Enrich program, Dr. Mounsbach and his team developed something called the Mood 5 or the M5. So I'm actually going to share that with you right now. I'm actually going to work through it as an individual, but I encourage each of you guys to use this tool to, again, objectify your stress. And you can use it, today, you can use it a month from now. And again, you can share that with families, friends, and other people that want to sort of measure their stress level. So let me show you what that tool looks like. So you're going to go to enrichvisits.com. And as you can see in the upper part of the website, you can click on the Mood 5 and you'll get to this screening tool. Again, the Mood 5 is a 1-minute stress temperature check. It's scientifically validated to sort of measure your stress level. And it sort of serves as that screening tool or that first step in terms of improving your mood, because it's going to give you an objective score on what your stress level is. So we'll walk through the questions so you can see them. Again, it takes 1 minute. It's only 5 questions. So the first question talks about lost interest in activities. And again, I'm just going to answer them somewhat for the purposes of today. Do you worry about things more than usual? Most of us do. Have you felt depressed, hopeless, or down for 2 consecutive days? Are you nervous, anxious, or wound up much of the time? And these are the physical symptoms that you might experience, like I just mentioned. So experiencing fatigue, headache, stomach upset, or memory problems. So once you complete those 5 questions, you have an opportunity to send that email score to your personal email address, or you can just show me your score now. So you get your score right away. And this score, again, is out of 10. A 3, 4, or 5 is considered mild to moderate. And a 6 or higher is considered severe or significant. And again, as I mentioned before, any of us can score a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on any given day. The challenge is if we have a 6 or higher for about 60 days or more. That's where there's true health consequences from that chronic stress. So you get your score. It tells you what the score means and provides you the science behind the tool itself. So that's a great way to, again, measure your stress temperature.
That is such a great tool. I know a lot of our families and caregivers and older adults listening in on this episode could really greatly use tools like that. So thank you for sharing. Is this also something that the caregivers could do as well?
Absolutely. So yeah, knowing what the individual's stress level is, as well as those who are taking care of those individuals, is very important. Again, to measure. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of your loved one effectively, right? So this is a good way for you to not only understand your own sort of stress temperature, but sort of put things in place to ensure that you are at the healthiest you can be, so you can provide the best care for your loved one.
Great. Thank you so much for that information. There's so many factors that can impact stress, which in turn impacts overall wellness. Do you have any tips for the older adult to implement just to help decrease their stress and can improve their overall wellness?
Yeah, so as part of the 15 for Me program, we are big proponents of what we call the 3 C's. So cardio exercises, cognitive exercises or brain health exercises, and centered breathing or meditation. So our data suggests that if you can try to achieve up to 15 minutes a day, whether that's done at one time or when that's done incrementally throughout the day, that you can really impact your stress levels. And again, that 15 minutes is something that's realistic for most of us to try to achieve throughout the day. So as I mentioned before, it's really important just to incorporate any sort of movement throughout the day. Again, whether or not you are an individual or you are providing care to a loved one. So a real simple exercise that you can do, maybe if you're sitting bedside or couch side with your loved one is to do something called a sit to stand. So I'm going to sort of demonstrate what that is. It's a great exercise. It's functional. It incorporates, sort of lower body strength. You can use your arms, not use your arms, depending on how hard that exercise is for you. And again, it's important, right? Because you want to be able to continue to be able to stand up again and sort of take care of yourself, but also keep that leg strength going strong. So let me demonstrate that for you.
Great.
So what you're going to do is you're going to sit to the front of your chair. And again, you can either, if you have arms with an armrest, you can push off with that. You can cross your arms, or you can push off your chair. So ideally, you want to be able to cross your arms, lean forward, and push up to a standing position, and then slowly sit back down. And again, move forward, and then stand up to a standing position. And again, if you can do this 5-10 times, a couple of times per day, you're really going to build and sustain your strength in your lower extremities or your legs. If you need your arms, it's okay. You can push up with your arms. And again, for safety purposes, if you have some trouble with balance, you can have something in front of you like a walker, or you can do that in front of a desk or an island at your kitchen. But a sit to stand exercise is a simple, easy exercise that you can incorporate throughout the day for both you and your loved one.
That's exactly why I love that, because all it takes is a chair, and it's something that you could do together and make it as difficult or as easy, depending on your abilities. Thanks for sharing that. You mentioned earlier about the 3 C's, and one of them being cognition. I'd like to expand a little bit more on that topic. It sounds like brain health is important. Can you just tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, so again, there's a lot of information out there that supports exercise boosting brain health. And we also have some data that suggests that doing brain health exercise can also target the areas of the brain that not only enhance memory, but also can improve your mood and lower your stress. So again, here at Enrich, I will show you there's some brain tip exercises that are free that you guys can sign up for. And they're fun, and they're also can be modified. So depending on how hard the exercise is for you, there's always a modification. So everyone can participate and complete the exercise. So let me share that with you. I'll first share with you the exercise, and then I'll share with you how to sign up for, again, those free exercises. So once you are a subscriber to the Enrich site, you will receive an email once a week with your brain exercise of the week. So this one is from August 22nd. And it gives you a little bit of information, again, of the importance of working on your cognition, again, to successfully maintain your independence and also keep your brain as sharp as possible. And then it gives you the exercise. So the exercise for this one is, again, create a short list of 10 items from each category heading, then cover one list and attempt to recall all the items from the memory. So it provides you the opportunity to, again, memorize those 10 items that you placed under each category. Again, this may seem very challenging to many of you, so there's always a modification. So the modification for this one would be just creating a shorter list with 5 items and trying to identify if you can memorize those 5 items. So again, this is just one example. And these are, again, they come to you on a weekly basis. So let me share with you how to sign up. So again, you would go to enrichvisits.com and you would go right to subscribe.
Well,
And
easy enough.
what you're going to do is you're going to put in your name, and then you just put in your email address, and then you're going to hit submit, and then you will receive information on a weekly basis. So it's as simple as that.
That's great. It seems like even those individuals that may have cognitive impairments are able to participate as well.
Absolutely. So again, there's always a modification. There's a different exercise each week. So again, maybe they need the assistance of a caregiver or a family member, but everyone should be able to participate.
Great. So, with the three C's, we talked about cognition. You touched a little bit on cardiovascular. Did you want to talk a little bit more about how cardiovascular exercises can also help reduce your stress?
Sure. So I think cardiovascular exercise is probably the most supported out there in terms of helping to reduce stress. And again, any movement helps. So, even, there are even studies that if you do a couple of minutes of walking, that can also reduce your stress levels, reduce anxiety. So, just promoting movement as much as we can throughout the day. Now, not a lot of us have that extra time, especially if you are maybe working a full-time job and taking care of a loved one. So there's a lot of different ways to sort of incorporate exercise throughout the day. So maybe you're watching, again, maybe you're watching television with your loved one and trying to connect with them that way. Obviously, that is also an opportunity to maybe promote exercise, either at a commercial break or maybe pausing the TV show every 15 minutes, and even doing the exercise that I shared with you earlier, sort of that sit to stand exercise is a great opportunity. Maybe you're in the kitchen making a meal for yourself or for a loved one. So maybe while you're waiting for the stove to heat up or the oven to heat up, maybe you can do some calf raises or standing on your toes, throughout the time that your pot is heating up. Maybe you're brushing your teeth, and again, incorporating some squats into sort of that routine a little bit. Even doing 5 squats during that can be very helpful for your strength. So there's a lot of different ways, if you make it a priority, that you can incorporate exercise throughout the day into your normal routine. Now, obviously, if you have additional time, the more movement that you do, as long as it's safe, of course, is going to be beneficial. So, trying to do a 5-minute walk before maybe work, or doing a couple of minute walk after dinner. There's a lot of, again, studies to suggest not only that it reduces stress reduction, but it also helps with digestion. So, walking after a meal is very beneficial.
I like the idea of incorporating movement into everyday activities. We have to stand there and brush our teeth, so we might as well make the most out of it. Another tip I had heard, and you can tell me if this is good or not, but when you're parking in a parking lot, try to park at the very back. So that way you have to, it forces yourself to walk into wherever you need to go.
Yeah, and another modification, I think a lot of people try to do that, but if they're holding like sort of heavy groceries, or they don't want to pull the cart all the way back, as an example, that they might even park closer for when they exit the grocery store, but maybe they do, they walk around, maybe they do a little lap before they enter the grocery store. So that way they do their exercise before going into the store, but they sort of still have a shorter distance, when they're carrying their groceries back to their car.
Love that. Great. So the last C is centered breathing. This may be a new concept for many of our older adults, as well as some of the families listening. Do you have any suggestions or tips on how to get started? And also, are there any precautions that older adults should be taking prior to performing this task?
So center breathing or meditation is really important. That generally is what we call the most favorite C of our 3 Cs for 15 for me. And I think a lot of it has to do with, number one, there's tons of information out there to support the impact of center breathing on stress, as an example. It's also something that once you get started, you can see pretty immediate benefits from it. I mean, almost immediately after doing the center breathing exercises. First, I think the cardio and the cognitive exercises, it's, you see benefits, but a lot of times it's a little bit, longer to sort of achieve that and see those. The center breathing, you sort of get those immediate benefits. Again, anytime throughout the day, you can incorporate that. So what I always recommend is that you just sort of start with trying to do 1 minute. So we have some guided videos as part of 15 for me, but any sort of guided imagery or guided videos to help walk you through how to incorporate what we call belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing is going to be important. Most of us, as we have that chronic stress, start to develop shallow breathing or chest breathing. And there are a lot of health consequences from doing shallow breathing for an extended period of time. So it is important to be aware of your breath. And again, what we teach is what we call 4-2-4 breathing. So inhaling for 4, trying to hold for 2, and then exhaling for 4. So in through the nose for 4, hold for 2, and breathe out for 4. So again, that is something easy to incorporate. You can even do it up 30 seconds, 1 minute. I think a lot of times people don't feel like they're good at it because they might have thoughts going through their minds and they feel like if they can't get those thoughts out, then they're failing at center breathing or meditation. But the purpose really of the 4-2-4 breathing is to focus more on the breath, which will take away your focus on your thoughts or any other stress that's ongoing. So that's sort of the rationale behind it. I would like, if we have some time, I can share with you a quick 3-minute center breathing video. We call this breathing 1, 2, 3. So it is sort of our beginner center breathing video that again walks you through sort of how to do it successfully. So if you have 3 minutes, let's take a peek.
Sure. We have probably about 3 minutes, so we can end after this. I like how you did talk about getting started of just breathing in for 4 seconds, holding, blowing out. That's a great starting point for many of our families and older adults listening in.
Yeah, and again, you want to go to a comfortable place. So if it's seated in a chair or it's seated on the floor or even seated against the wall, the most important thing is that you are comfortable before you begin the breathing activity. If you have a hard time sitting up without back support and you're going to struggle the whole time to sort of hold that posture, then you're not going to really benefit from the center breathing exercise. So, again, give yourself a little bit of compassion, a little bit of forgiveness. Use that back support the best that you can, and just really, again, focus on the breath. So we're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen and we'll take about 3 minutes again to focus on ourselves and focus on that breathing. I'm going to shut my video off and I would encourage you to do the same so you can just focus on the video.
Hello, my name is Sarah. Your exercise today is breathing 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's get started. If you're not already doing so, sit down in a comfortable upright position, either in a chair or cross-legged on the floor. If you're sitting in a chair, place your feet flat on the floor. If you're sitting on the floor, you might be more comfortable with your back against a wall. Either way, try to keep your back straight. Now, place a hand on your stomach. It doesn't matter which hand. Close your eyes. Take a few slow, deep breaths through your nose. Notice your belly rising when you breathe in and falling when you breathe out. Do this for a few cycles, focusing on the movement of your hand on your belly. With every breath in, your belly moves out. And with every breath out, your belly moves in. In centered breathing, there are 3 simple steps. I will describe them to you first, and then we can practice them together. In the first step, you will breathe in through your nose, silently counting to 4. If you can't breathe in for a count of 4, try a count of 3 or 2. In the second step, you will hold the air in your lungs for a count of 2. Finally, you will breathe out through your mouth for a count of 4. This is called 4-2-4 centered breathing. Okay, let's do centered breathing together. Close your eyes. Slowly inhale through your nose for a count of 4 and hold for a count of 2. Now slowly breathe out through your mouth, counting to 4. Go ahead and repeat this cycle 5 times. When you're finished, I'll share a few closing thoughts with you. Nice job. You can do 4 to 4 breathing as often as you like. You can also increase the length of time you inhale through your nose or exhale through your mouth. You should do centered breathing after your cardio or cognitive sessions, and you can use it anywhere, anytime to lower your stress.
That was so great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mike. I'm sure our families really enjoyed it as well.
You're welcome. I love centered breathing. I love to have people, especially try it for the very first time and see the impact it can have on their life. And again, that's something easy that you can incorporate throughout the day, whether it's before a stressful time, maybe with a loved one, or coming out of a conflict, or it's a great thing to actually do with your loved one. I think anything that we can incorporate from a wellness perspective is going to help both the individual as well as those that are caring for them.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with our families all of your knowledge and expertise. I'm sure our families value your input on this topic, and you've provided such great information as well as a starting point for getting, for doing cardiovascular exercises and hopefully reducing their stress. Thank you everyone for joining us. Stay tuned for our next Family Matters episode, and have a nice day.
All right. On behalf of all of our families that joined, thank you so much, Mike and Abby. We would like to take this opportunity to invite you to become a member of the Enrich Brain Health program if you're not already, by signing up on our website. Looks like, yeah, here we go. There's 2 different options of locations on the website where you can subscribe, but they'll both take you to the same place, and you'll get those weekly emails like Mike was talking about. We also wanted to show you where you can access that Mood 5 assessment that Mike mentioned. So if you look on our homepage here, he circled the option here at the top for the Mood 5 or M5 assessment. All right, and if you are interested in more information from the BCAT Research Center, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And here are our links here for that. Again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and enter them into the chat box, and a member of the BCAT team will respond to you within 2 to 3 business days. And I just want to thank you guys all again for joining this episode of the Family Matters series. And we hope to see you again for our next episode in October, entitled How Are Falls Influenced by Cognitive Impairment? Learn best practices to reduce fall risk, including the role of daily exercise and activity. I will stay in the meeting for a couple more minutes just in case anybody has any questions. And I hope you guys all have a good night.